about way cash crisis works.
Talking about Venezuela once again.
Systemic important thanks. They removed the one factor you do this thing here called monetary awareness. Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some more RT News updates. And as you can tell from today's title, 401k mistake that turns 40 years old. I'm going to be covering a couple articles from the mainstream news today dealing with the whole revamping of the 401k retirement system. And I wanted to shine some light on the idea that not too many people are aware of the fact that the whole idea of a 401k was not a deliberate act by any type of financial institution or by the government in and of itself. It actually came about by mistake, and it so happened to catch on, and so now it is the preferred vehicle for retirement, of which you would wonder after 40 years, why would there be a need to revamp it if it was designed to work flawlessly? So today I'm going to share a couple articles with you on the idea that the whole 401k scheme is coming apart at the very seams, and so now there's a push by Congress to really ramp up the idea of encouraging and reassuring investors and savers that it's okay to put money aside for retirement, even though it says 19 to 20% of the public say they're not confident in their ability to be able to retire. And so I got about 4 or 5 articles I'm going to share with you, all dealing with what's happening with the retirement idea and give you a little bit of historical background as to why this 40-year-old Ponzi scheme is starting to lose its appeal with the public. But as always, if you're new to RTD, I want to encourage you to click the subscribe button along with the notification tab to be informed of future updates as well as live streams. Also join me on Twitter, where I share posts throughout the day on various subject matters dealing with our monetary system as well as whatever's happening in the news that I can't get to via video. Make sure you click the button down below to be notified when things are posted. So as I mentioned, I have a couple articles I want to share with you, all dealing with subject matter of the 401k, and also share with you my thought process on how over the last couple of years in reading a variety of material outside of the conventional mainstream narrative, I have developed somewhat of a different viewpoint on the 401k, and it has a lot to do with 401 Chaos, which was written by Andy Tanner a few years back. And so once I read this book a few years ago, it kind of gave me a different spin on how the origins of the 401k and just the whole retirement scheme is ran. And so I want to encourage you guys, if you're interested, you can just Google 401 Chaos, and I'm sure there's a free copy out there, or you can go directly to Andy Tanner's website. He's a Robert Kiyosaki advisor there. So to really understand what a 401k is and how it even came about, if you just Google when did a 401k start, it'll give you a very good idea as to what a 401k is and how it even came about, and how as of this year it turned 40 years old. So just Googling when did the 401k start, it says it started when Congress passed the Revenue Act of 1978, which included a provision that was added to the Internal Revenue Code called Section 401k. It says that allowed employees to avoid being taxed on deferred compensation. And then you scroll down a little bit more, it says here, when was it invented and how does it work? Click that link there, and then it gives you some basics on that matter there and give you an idea about it. It says, despite the popularity today, 401k plans were created almost by accident. It started when Congress passed the Revenue Act of 1978, which included a provision that was added to the Internal Revenue Code, Section 401k. It says in 1980, benefits consultant Ted Bena referred to Section 401k while researching ways to design more tax-friendly retirement programs for a client. It says he came up with the idea to allow employees to save pre-tax money into a retirement plan while receiving an employer match. It says his client rejected the idea, so Bena's own company, the Johnson's Company, became the first company to provide a 401k plan to its workers. So the very idea that this was created by mistake, it was not intentional. It so happened that this guy here, Ted Bena, came up with a good idea that he presented to a person. The person said, hell no, I don't want to have to match anything. I want the company to match it. So sure enough, the very company in of itself said, sure, we'll do it. And so here we are now, 40 years later, with a 401k where the employer and the employee are expected to contribute to a plan, of which as of now, this whole concept of needing to revamp it is the reason why it's not working, because most people aren't contributing enough, because the whole idea of monetary policy was never factored in. The fact that we would be at 0% interest rates, people can't actually save because of debt being through the roof and all the varying factors that are part of this whole implosion of the retirement scheme all of itself. And so go back to that very first article here where it says it's on Republicans push for 401k retirement revamp. Give you an idea what's going on here. It says Congress Republicans are planning a push for tax reform 2.0. It says later this summer with retirement reform as a potential deal sweetener and legislation introduced Tuesday as a precursor. It says while Democrats are unlikely to support a tax reform package that would extend the congressional cuts beyond 2025, says the GOP will leverage parts of the Retirement Enhancement and Savings Act, or RESA, to attract bipartisan support. Says the retirement plan renovation or demolitions, depending on point of view, will begin with the RESA's provision to make it easier to offer annuities within the 401k plan. So right there, when I came across the word annuities, I thought about the idea, okay, who offers annuities? Insurance companies. So what better way to add another third party into this whole retirement scheme other than allowing insurance companies to get directly involved into this whole 401k retirement aspect directly by somewhat probably making it mandatory that employers offer annuities, and there'd be some type of automatic deduction from paychecks or whatnot. And so just to give you an idea of what annuities are, I actually Googled annuities. So once you Google annuities, it says a fixed sum of money paid to someone each year, typically for the rest of their lives. It says a form of insurance or investment entitling the investor to a series of annual sums. And then right below that, I came across this. It says why annuities are a bad idea for almost everyone, which came out earlier this year. So I clicked on that one. And here is an opinion piece. It says why annuities are a bad idea for almost everyone. And then the very first line here is what got me. It says, you're betting the insurance company that you're going to live longer than they think you will. So just if you thumb through here, that says it all. It's the idea that by taking on an annuity, so you're basically in a sense assuming that the insurance company that you're taking out that annuity policy with will be around as just as long, if not longer, than your lifespan. And so if you're 30, 40, 50 years old, you're saying that in the next 50, 60 years, that insurance company may not have any issues, regardless of what happens in the market or whatnot, such as what happened to AIG and all the other ones that were heavily impacted by the Great Recession. And so the very title here says why annuities are a bad idea for almost everyone lets me know that it only probably going to benefit the insurance companies in the near term, completely disregarding the idea that people will be living a lot longer, especially the younger generation. Hence the idea of some insurance company possibly being insolvent given this next market correction. And so the idea that they're looking to revamp 401ks to include annuities and whatever else they're going to try to propose might not be a very good idea. So to continue moving on down the line, there's another article here from Market Watch that came out today, and it says maxing out your 401k might not be enough to have a secure retirement. Interesting. So to scroll down a little bit more, it gives you a better idea as to how this whole idea of managing money and whatnot is more computerized and is more geared towards keeping this current paradigm and system together, not really thinking long term, as the idea of this 401k was by mistake, and it's only 40 years old, which is only the lifespan of one generation, of which the baby boomers right now are the primary recipients of this whole 401k payout. Nevertheless, the idea that it might not last another generation, ideally 40 years, for the younger generation to be able to receive some type of payout, but they won't cover that. So give you an idea what's going on here. It says maxing out your 401k might not be enough to have a secure retirement. A retirement account is great, but having a financial plan with it is better. Give you an idea what's going on here. It's basically a promotion for Fidelity Investments and a new product, a new financial vehicle that they're promoting. And it says saving for retirement in a 401k plan is a great choice. It says, but socking money away and hoping for the best isn't actually a strategy. It says a better idea is to have a financial plan to accompany that account. Hence the idea Fidelity Investments suggests the Boston-based financial firm has created a new feature for employers to incorporate into their managed account products for 401k and 403b plans. It says the new service known as Fidelity Personalized Planning and Advice will have professionals manage the account and create a personalized plan that takes retirements and other goals, such as a down payment for a home or paying for college, into consideration. We have a new product which is geared towards having professional manage of an actual person. Scroll down a little bit more. It says here, it says manage accounts, as the name suggests, managed by a professional, or in some cases an automated investment platform which picks the asset allocation and the portfolio and charges a fee to do so, sometimes not worth the extra expense. It says managed accounts don't necessarily mean better returns. So basically, whether you have an automated version, which is what most people have now, geared towards some type of expected retirement date, or you have an actual person behind the computer every so often checking in on you, don't really guarantee a better return. But it does guarantee the fact that if a single individual or a group of people have to monitor your situation, there's going to be some fees tacked onto that, which will definitely eat into your principal and potential gains long term. So the idea that Fidelity now is offering a new service, which is basically nothing new at all, is basically saying that instead of your portfolio managed by the computer algorithm, we can offer you a service where we can have someone actually working on your account directly. But yet, I'm sure it's going to cost you a little bit more money, but you might feel a little bit more secure in having someone working on your account. Once again, this article came out today in a need to get more people to really adapt into the mind frame of we need to save more. Why is that? Because there's more money needed to stay in the system. There's more money needed in the system from the younger generation, especially as the baby boomers begin to withdraw this initial 40-year plan of a 401k Ponzi scheme that is currently starting to crumble. These financial institutions here need more funds. So what better way to get it in there other than to promote alternative ways of people either monitoring it or putting it on some type of automated expense there. But next article here. This article here is from Rich Dad, and it says why 401ks and mutual funds are the path to retirement disaster. And of course, if you are familiar with Robert Kiyosaki and his viewpoint, he believed that any type of paper-backed asset or vehicle, whatnot, is all a Ponzi scheme because he's a real estate guy. But this article here gives a very good idea as to his mind frame here. And he talks about the idea that ask yourself, honestly, are you an investor or a gambler? Then he goes on to explain how the idea of a 401k plan in of itself is not actually investing. Why? If you don't know what you're investing in, you don't really know how your investment is performing, how can you really consider yourself an investor? He says, and even more, how can you know if you are secure for retirement? The short answer is you can't and you don't. Then this video goes on to talk about how he doesn't pay taxes just like Donald Trump. So it's kind of interesting. Then it talks about the American retirement crisis. And it says, why is this so important? Because America is facing a retirement crisis of epic proportions. It says a recent article from CNBC entitled, Americans are more stressed about money than work or relationships. Here's why. That makes sense given that so many Americans are behind on prepping for retirement. It says over 20% have nothing at all saved for the future, and another 10% have less than $5,000 socked away. It says Northwestern Mutual found. It says the cost of health care continues to rise faster than incomes as well. Annual costs came out to be more than $10,000 per person in 2016. And it says of all Americans who have savings for retirement, most are invested in 401ks stuffed with mutual funds, which are exposed to systemic risk. If the market falls, they fall. And then it goes on to talk about Vanguard predicts the market will cool off a lot. It says many people think they're safe if they invest in a 401k, but because they've heard this often repeated truism from the financial industry, it says, quote, on average, the market goes up 7% per year. It says there are two problems with this pseudo wisdom. One, past performance doesn't predict future performance. And then two, if you will look at the historical data, you can see that the average lie, the market has wild ups and downs that average to 7% gain. It says, and we're possibly on the verge of one of those cooling off periods. CNBC reports, says Vanguard is predicting that over the next 10 years, the market will return less than 3% on average. So I'll stop right there. And if you guys are interested, feel free to read for yourself. But at the end of the day, the idea is the fact that the mainstream narrative says put your money away into a financial vehicle. It so happens to be labeled 401k, which you've read for yourself here was not by design. It happened to be a mistake from a person who created an idea to present to one person. That person rejected it. Then the company bought into it. Here it is now 40 years later this year, and it's a mainstream product that everyone is told to sock money away in, not even knowing what's in it, or even how it operates, other than the fact that they've been given a date that they can expect to withdraw from that, whether it's 40, 55, 65, 74, whatever it is, usually 5-year increments. Most people are sitting around very passively allowing this algorithm to take control of their financial future and have no real say or no understanding of why that is or what they're doing with it or what's even included in it, to where here this article talks about the idea, is that really considered investing? Or is that gambling because you're not even aware of what's in your account? And so the idea that the Congress is looking to revamp the retirement system and include annuities, which that article mentioned that the idea of annuities is based upon the longevity of the insurance company that's backing that up. So you factor in all of that right there. That lets me know that it's very unstable and it's very unsecure overall. And of course, that's just my opinion. But these articles here lay out a justifiable case on my part that I believe more people should take interest in this matter here and just thinking beyond a conventional mainstream narrative of stocking away money in a 401k, given the fact that the baby boomer generations is the first generation that will be participating in this 40-year retirement scheme here. Not to mention the idea that if you're younger, will this even be around in 20, 30, 40 years? Only time will tell. But the way that things are lining up now, I would be willing to bet if it is around, whatever your principal was that you socked away for savings, it probably won't have the type of gains that you were expecting, especially enough gains to retire off of. So once again, that's my opinion, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this matter. feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you find this informative, please share this with your family and friends so they can become more aware on these important subject matters, because I believe the retirement crisis that's currently underway now will be one of the most important subject matters we're going to face in the very next year or 2 or 3 for sure. As the whole stock market correction and all this stuff lines up around us, it won't be very pleasant for the baby boomer generation, which will give the millennial generation, those younger, a chance to experience and witness firsthand that the concept of retirement was not a very well thought out plan. But anyway, love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. See you on the next news update.
It's the next recession.
Recession will be.
Will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months, but a lot of things about this particular one have not been typical. So
A crash is coming now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
I go to bed every night, I dream of another recession. If you know what to do, if you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.